Hey everyone, welcome back. So today is Wednesday. Bitcoin is still going kind of sideways. The market was actually up today, the stock market itself, but the miners were kind of mixed bag here. Take a look at two stories. One is on Bitcoin with JP Morgan, what they're saying about it, what they think it should be at. And we'll also take a look at the Bitcoin expiry that's happening this Friday. Bears, I think, are still going to be in control for this week, possibly. We'll look at obviously Bitcoin charts. We'll look at the miner charts as well, see what's going on there. We'll look at the two stories. And then we'll also take a look at the hash rate. The hash rate has been coming down. So our miners actually shutting down some of the older equipment. So we'll take a look at that as well. So as always, not financial advice. You guys know the drill here. I'm investing in following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out. And that's all I ask of you guys. All right, so here's Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin is at 29,777 right now. It was down a little bit on the day today, which just translated over into the new day. We were down 0.42% on the day. We hit basically we closed at 29,503. We're still kind of trading in this kind of pattern here, this kind of like almost wedge here that's kind of holding the price down. And we're still seeing on the RSI. RSI has been going up, price has been going down. Not a good sign, at least in the short term, unless something drastic changes here. We are probably going to be going down and possibly to that 200 weekly moving average, which is around 22,000, 24,000, right around there. So we may be testing that in the foreseeable future, which might be in the next week, month or so. But I think we are going down that low possibly. Ethereum is at 1,951. It is doing the same thing. Our RSI has been kind of going up a little bit. Price has been coming down. So we're seeing the same kind of thing happen here as well on it. We'll have to see, obviously, how things play out. Anything can change with one set of good news or something like that, and things could rocket. The war could end in Europe, and we take off. Who knows? So there's always a lot of things in play here. All right, let's take a look at the hash rate also while we're at it. So the hash rate has come down to about 204 million right now, and we peaked at 228 on the 7-day average on the raw values. We can see here that it's been bouncing. We hit a high of 254 million, bounced back down to about 189, and then bounced back up to 248, bounced to 186, and now we're bouncing at 219 or so. So hash rate has been coming down, looks like, at least on the 7-day average. We'll take a look at the miners, see where they are mining, but right now, based on this and where the price of Bitcoin is, everything else, if you don't have miners that are over 40 terahash, you're probably not making much more than at least the ones that are 40 terahash or lower. You're basically at $1 per day on those. That would be net revenue after electricity costs, and I'm calculating electricity costs at about 6 cents on that. So if you have electricity costs that are lower than that, you're obviously making a little bit more, but you're basically at $1 right now in revenue per miner. So if you have miners that may have like 10,000, 15,000, or 20,000 of those miners, you're still probably doing okay. You're making $300,000 in net revenue for the month, which wouldn't be too bad. But I think as the price continues to fall down, we're probably going to see the hash rate come back down a little bit more as more miners are being shut down, especially some of the older miners that are out there. And in a sense, that's a good thing. Hash rate comes down. We get rid of some of the less efficient miners as well. But obviously, those may come back online as Bitcoin price goes up. So we'll have to monitor that as well. All right, so let's take a look at the stocks here, see how they did today. And it was a little bit of a mixed bag. So Any was up 3.29%. So that's Sphere 3D. They were up to 96 cents, up a little bit more in the after hours to 98 cents. And we can see here they've been flat in the last couple of days on the charts. Argo was up 1.82% to 56 cents. So a little bit of a bounce from yesterday, but not much. And we can see that they've had a nice little curve here where they went up and then came back down. Bit Digital is at $3. I'm sorry. It's up 3.38%, $2.53, down a little bit in the after hours to $1.52. Same thing with Bit Digital. They've been kind of having this little arc here of going up and then coming back down. Bitfarms was down 0.59% to $1.68, down a little bit more in the after hours to $1.65. They've been just trending down this whole time. Cleanspark is up 1.93% to $5.27. They had a nice jump here and then obviously came back down. Cores was up 3.24% to $3.51. They did the same thing kind of like Cleanspark, had a little bit of bounce and then kept falling down the last couple of days. Digihost was up 5.41% to $1.56, up a little bit more in the after hours to $1.60. Have not seen any news for it, so I don't know why that's bouncing, other than maybe being way oversold. But we can see here it's been kind of bouncing up and down a little bit. Overall, kind of flat here in the last couple of days. DMG was down 1.72% to 28 cents. Hive has now converted, obviously, over with the reverse split. It is at $3.66, down 3.4%, up a little bit in the after hours to $3.70. Maybe they should have went with a 10-to-1 reverse split or something like that if they wanted to stay above the $5 mark. But that's neither here nor there. Hut 8 was basically flat today to $2.24. In the after hours, it's down a little bit to $2.23. Iris Energy was up 4.93% to $5.32. You can see a little arc happening here as well. And it has obviously arced off of its bottom, but it's coming back down. We may be testing that here in the coming days. Luxxfolio was up 10.34% on the day to 16 cents. And Marathon was up 3% to $9.27. We can see Marathon here obviously having this downtrend continuing on. It looks like it hit a low, a new 52-week low. Where is it on here? 52-week low was reached yesterday at $8.74. So that's a new one for them. Mawson was down 10.64% today to $2.10. It has reached a new 52-week low of $2.09. And we got Riot was at 6.43 today, up 2.55%, down a little bit in the after hours to 6.36. Yesterday, it had reached a new low of $6.07 on the 52-week chart. And Stronghold was up 3.62% to $2.86. Like I said, it's a mixed bag for the miners for today. Obviously, they're following suit with Bitcoin. Not much news out there right now for them, so we'll just leave it at that. We'll see what happens later on this week. All right, let's get into the first story. So the first story is JP Morgan says Bitcoin has significant upside from here and could rise to 38,000. Real estate, not so much. So they're obviously putting their bets on Bitcoin as possibly being oversold here a little bit. Looking at the chart like we just did, I think Bitcoin still has a ways to go, but here's the main takeaways from it. So investment banks, strategists led by Nicholas, I'm just going to say Nicholas P., said in a Wednesday note that they believe Bitcoin, the world's leading digital asset, has significant upside potential after its recent fall. I believe that as well, but I think we may be falling a little bit more before we actually bounce. The strategists maintained their 38,000 price target for Bitcoin, which represents a potential 29% jump from the cryptocurrency's Wednesday morning trading level of 29,430, which would be nice to see, obviously, and the miners could enjoy that as well. But the past month's crypto market correction looks more like a capitulation relative to last January, February, and going forward, we see upside for Bitcoin and crypto markets more generally, the strategist wrote. JP Morgan now sees digital assets and hedge funds as its preferred alternative asset classes, with real estate being moved to the sidelines as mortgage rates soar. So we're obviously seeing that. We're also hearing stories of, people that are selling those houses. Their houses are seeing less people come through the doors in certain areas. So that's obviously having an effect, and I think that's going to continue on here as interest rates obviously go up in the next couple months. Next story is, we'll get into this really quick, is Bitcoin creeps towards 30,000, but data shows bears in favor for Friday's 1.8 billion BTC options expiry. So that kind of coincides with what I'm seeing here on the chart. It looks like we're kind of possibly going down, but we'll see. Traders are calling for a relief rally to 35,000, but derivatives data shows bears stand to profit from this week's 1.81 billion BTC options expiry. Here's the main takeaways. Bitcoin price has been unable to close above 32,000 for the past 15 days and is currently down 37% year to date. In the same 15-day periods, Shopify, or at least within the last 2 weeks, Shopify on NASDAQ dropped 76%, Snap dropped 73%, Netflix is down 70%, and Cloudflare is down negative 62%. So obviously, we're seeing a lot of pressure on not only the tech stocks, but also in Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's Fear and Greed Index reached an 8 out of 100 on May 17th. So that was basically last week. The lowest level since March 2020. If you recall, March 2020, we had that huge dip on Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the chart here for Bitcoin. We can take a look at it here. So we're on the daily chart, March 20th, 2022. Let's see if we can go back that far. And this was 2020, April, March, right there. It's Ethereum, sorry. Here we go. We had that huge dip here, obviously, in March, where we came down to basically a close of, where was that? Right there on the daily chart. We were down to a low of about 4,000 or so. So obviously we've come way up in price over that time frame and over 2 years. But we'll see obviously where it ends up at being the bottom for this cycle. All right, let's go back to it here. And traders fear that worsening macroeconomic conditions could cause investors to seek shelter in the US dollar and treasuries. Japan's industrial production data released on May 18th showed a 1.7 contraction year over year. Moreover, May 20 retail sales data from the United Kingdom showed a 4.9 decline versus 2021. So that's obviously not good. That's obviously going to be weighing on investors. And we obviously have the expiry happening here on Friday. So bears can secure a 390 million profit on May 27th. So here are the numbers to watch out for. So between 28,300, 28,000 and 30,000, 800 calls for buy versus 14,200 puts, which are sells. So that's obviously a lot of pressure there. The net result favors bears by 390 million. Then the price tag between 30,000 and 32,000, we have 2,050 calls versus 11,200 puts. Bears have a 250 million advantage. And between 32,000 and 33,000, there's 5,650 calls versus 9,150 puts. The net result favors bears by 110 million. So there's obviously a lot of options, calls, or puts for the end of this week versus how many calls there are. So that I think is going to also lead to the price being where it's at right now, or go down a little bit more as well. But like I said, we'll have to see where that ends up at. All right, let's take a look at the miners. So like I said, and let me see, actually I do have it here. So this is what I wanted to show you guys. So on here I have, this is whattomine.com. Great website if you're interested in which miners are profitable and which ones are not, which ones are better profitability than others. And let's see if we can zoom this in a little bit. There we go. So I'm looking for the algorithm that is SHA-256. So those are all for the Bitcoin miners. So obviously this one is not coming out until possibly later on this year. This one's the 198 terahash. But looking down the line here, this one's coming out in July, so that one's not available yet. We do have also, what do we got here? The What's Miner, so that one's out already. That one is making about $8.80 based on 6 cents per kilowatt hour. That's kind of what I just put in there. It could be obviously lower for some of these miners, but that's $8.88 at 110 terahash. That's obviously mining at 3,410 watts. The S Pro from Bitmain is 3,500 watts, 110 terahash. It's about $8.67 in profit. So I don't know if anybody has gotten those. Yeah, people have gotten those already, but the 140 terahash obviously have not. And then as you go down here, we can see that the lower you get, obviously the less you're mining. And I think a lot of the miners are going to start evaluating whether or not they want to continue mining with some of the older equipment, especially the ones that are like, where was it? Like the 40, once we get down to like the dollar mark here on some of these. But even at $1, I think you can still make quite a bit of buck on it. So like the 33 terahash miners here, those are pretty close to $1 only a day. So if you got 10,000 of those, it's $10,000 a day. So that's times 30, you're looking at $300,000 a month possibly. So those are still pretty good. But I think once you start getting down to, below 50 cents or something like that, you're going to start making people think twice whether or not they want to run those or not. But I think if you have a large scale on it, you're probably going to be doing it. The miners that are doing it themselves, like the homebrew miners, they're probably going to be shutting off, based on the fear that Bitcoin's going to continue going down. You have to pay the electricity bill, obviously, for those. So that's possibly why we're seeing the hash rate of the network come back down a little bit. It's just prices coming down, which is resulting, obviously, not having profitable miners. And then we can see here that anything, let's see here. The 13,500 or 13.5 terahash miners, the S9Ks, those were obviously released in 2019. Those are just barely profitable here at 3 cents. And then probably anything below that, you're probably not going to be mining anyways. It just doesn't make any sense unless you just want to toss money into it, and hopefully the Bitcoin price goes back up. So this is why I think a lot of the miners are going to be shutting down, especially the older ones. All right, so something I wanted also to point out to you guys here, we're using Argo as an example, but in January with the 95 terahash miners that they had, the 10,000 of them, they were making about $18.23 per miner in January. If we scroll over, we can see that number going down each month. So 18.23 in January, 18.16 in February. We had a pretty good March, which went up a little bit, 19.63. And then in April, we fell. Obviously, Bitcoin price fell, so we were down at 15.75. In May, we are now at $10.44 currently on it. Obviously, if the price continues to fall down, we're going to even fall even further. And we do have, obviously, some of these guys here. Argo has some of these 38 terahash miners. They got about 15,000 of those. So even if they're making $1 on those, they're still making $450,000 a month on those net profit, which isn't bad. Obviously covers a lot of costs for them, overhead, employees, possibly things like that. So I would assume that they're going to probably be mining those if they are still mining those. And then let's see if we got anybody else here. BitDigital has some, looks like these 19.7 terahash miners. Got 1,000 of those. They may be probably turning those off right now. I know I would, because right now we're looking at a May about $2.15, and that's not including electricity, taken away from that. So they're probably not profitable right now on those. Let's take a look at Bitfarms really quick. See what they have here as far as speed goes. 63. I don't see anything that would raise an eyebrow right now to turn off. Cleanspark I know has some pretty new miners, so they should be fine. They don't have anything to worry about. Core, same thing. They have pretty new miners. Digihost has some of these 49 terahash miners, so those might be a little iffy right now, especially come May. Those are 536 minus electricity, so those still should be okay, but I would definitely start thinking about possibly turning those off. DMG has pretty much newer miners, 100 terahash, 140 on order. Hive has some 79, those are okay, 74. The lowest ones they got here is 68. I don't even know if those got plugged in 2000, 2000. I don't have it anywhere in my calculations because I just don't know when those were going to get plugged in. So they're probably absorbed in here someplace, being used as these instead. Hut 8 has pretty good miner, 77 I think is the lowest that they're at here. And then they got 93. Yeah. So they should be good. Iris has some 45, but they don't have a lot of those. 513, which isn't bad. I wouldn't be. Oh, they even have those marks as being turned off. I think they noted that they turned those off a while back, at least back in February. Luxxfolio has newer miners, 90 terahash, 100 terahash miners. So those are good. Let's see what else we got here. We got Marathon. Marathon has newer miners as well, 100 to 110 terahash, 140 on order. Mawson doesn't have anything that old either. Some of the newer miners are obviously getting newer miners. Obviously, the older miners have been around for a while. Might have some of these older miners. So obviously, Riot's got some 61 terahash miners. Other than that, it looks like 110 terahash and 90 terahash, and some 140 terahash on order. Sphere. Obviously, Sphere, we don't know about the new miners. Haven't heard anything on those yet. But they have some newer miners as well on order. The S19s, which are 100 terahash, and Stronghold's got some 93 based on my calculations, and 102 terahash miners. So just a couple miners out there that have some of the older equipment. They're probably going to be thinking about whether or not it makes sense for those to be running. So I just wanted to point that out, and that's it. We'll see how this week ends. We'll see if we have a 9th week in a row where we're red on Bitcoin, or if we actually pull out a magic trick and go up a little bit in price. Miners are obviously getting hammered right now. They've been getting hammered this whole time from pretty much from, November of last year. They've been just getting slapped silly. So we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, now might be a good time to buy into these miners. They're pretty well beaten down right now. They could obviously go down more. Obviously, Bitcoin goes down to 20-some thousand. These guys are going to go down another 30, 50%, who knows? Dollar cost average, not a financial advice, but you can always dollar cost average, which is what I'm doing right now. That's it. If you guys enjoyed the video, obviously hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. We post a video every day pretty much, except for on the weekends. We may only do one video on the weekend. But other than that, try to keep you guys informed of what's going on and kind of give you guys a little bit more background data on some of this stuff. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great evening. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, bye.